Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and it's Patreon time. Belinda R. has her request in, and she requested that I review The Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special that aired a few years ago, and so we're going to try to cover it as best as we can, and good God. I'm not sure if Belinda likes me or not, because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Nothing. During the first part of this, so full spoilers, I didn't know what was going on. I had so many questions. Now, it comes around and becomes universal, but the beginning of this was just like me going, like looking around, like, what is going on? This is fan service. This is like for people who watch the show, and that's great. If you were watching this and you were a fan of Doctor Who, then this would have made your fucking day. For me, this was just like, what is all this? Who's that? Why is this? What is going on? And so to begin, this episode has John Hurt, David Tennant, Matt Smith, and like Tom Baker's in here at the end. You get Peter Capaldi's eyes. Jenna Coleman's in this. Billy Piper's in this. You get people from kind of all over the place, but unfortunately for me, I think I had some things spoiled for me in this episode that would have helped like earlier episodes, like the Christopher Eccleston ones, like Bad Wolf. I believe that's a spoiler for a way past, like a long time ago. Tom Baker, I really didn't, I know that he's the doctor with the scarves. I know David Tennant from a lot of other things. And I know Matt Smith from like nothing. And so, but I know John Hurt from a lot of stuff too. So bear with me, and full spoilers for anything basically, because we're gonna run through these really quickly. So if you are new to my channel, or you're new to Doctor Who and you just watch my content and aren't really paying attention to who's who, this is for the people who either appreciate who these actors are or need a guide sort of to like where you might know these people from. And we're going to knock them out quickly at the beginning of this before we jump into the whole episode. Now, respectively, Matt Smith is the 12th Doctor, right? The 12th Doctor. And I know next to nothing about Matt Smith, except in his doctor likes to wear fezzes. But he's also going to be in a movie about Charles Manson, so check this out.
This album is a musical roadmap to our future. Now when he talks about the piggies, he's talking about the rich and the powerful needing a damn good whacking. And Blackbird, it's the black man's time to rise. In Revolution 1, it's a call to arms. It's time. Revolution 9, it's the soundtrack to the war. It's guns, screaming. Does that make you feel afraid?
No. It's like you always said it would be.
You're damn straight, it's like I always said it would be. You should feel proud. You should all feel proud. And why should you all feel proud, Lulu? Why?
Because we're already living like revolutionaries.
Yes. Now dig this. In Revelations in the Bible, it talks about locusts coming to earth. Now that's the Beatles. And he talks about the locusts having scales like iron breastplates. That's the Beatles' guitars. And dig this. He talks about 5 angels coming to earth. Now there's 5 angels. 4 of them are the Beatles. The other one is me. And the other one is me because I am given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. And where is the bottomless pit?
The one you told us about in Death Valley? The one we're going to find?
Yes. So helter-skelter is the thing, man. It's what the black man's gonna do to start the race war. But just like the Bible says, I will lead my family to the bottomless pit, and we will live out the war underground, and we will expand to 144,000, and then we will come back like the 12 tribes of Israel. And when we come back, the black man will not know how to act, or how to be, or how to govern, or what to do. And so, we cannot leave. We cannot leave because you're white people, and you will be murdered. You will be made into black slaves, and Tex is gonna be sorry that he ever left our tribe.
All right, so while I may not know Matt Smith, except for in this episode, which I am looking forward now to seeing both Tennant and Matt Smith's versions of the Doctor after I'm done with Capaldi. This is interesting. I definitely want to. I think he'd make an interesting Manson. But let's switch over to David Tennant, who I know from a lot more things. And one particular thing is what I love him for more than anything. Now, maybe I'll change my mind when I see him in the Doctor Who show. That once I go back, it's kind of funny that this is a time travel show and I start in the middle and then go back in time to watch it. But I know David Tennant most famously for me, and what I really liked was him as the Purple Man in Jessica Jones.
To show you what I see. That I'm the only one who matches you. Who challenges you. Who'll do anything for you.
This is a sick joke. You have killed innocent people.
Oh, well, that milquetoast little man boy, he interrupted me while I was leaving you a present, which apparently you didn't even find. Come on! You cannot pretend he didn't irritate you too. I wanted to slap him after 30 seconds. I know. I realize this will take time. But I'm going to prove it to you. Whose is that? Whose phone is that? Next person whose phone rings has to eat it! Crappy fluorescent lights and cockroaches and loud cell phones and the smell of piss! I am trying to profess eternal love here, people!
I'll come with you.
To protect them, not out of choice.
You know me well. We can work out the rest.
Oh, please. I am new to love, but I know what it looks like. I do watch television.
And the Marvel villains don't get talked about very often. They always say that they're not very good. But the TV shows had some really great villains. And Purple Man, Kilgrave, was amazing. And Tennant killed it. He nailed the character. The only thing I didn't like was that he wasn't actually purple. That would have been fucking dope. But whatever. I think that, they have to do something for the vanilla people, right? So that's where you know him from. Now, let's jump to John Hurt, the late, great John Hurt, who's been in so many iconic movies and had so many iconic roles that it's hard to pin down what to pick. But for me, once I remembered what all he's been in, I had to pick one thing in particular. And this clip is kind of long, but it's from a movie that I really love, and that's David Lynch's Elephant Man, where he played John Merrick, and it's a heartbreaking portrayal of the man who had elephantitis. Here we go.
Where are the children? Well, they're out with friends.
And here is Fredericks' mother.
Oh.
And these are my parents.
Oh. Have such noble faces.
Yes, I've always thought so myself.
Could you care to see my mother? Your mother? Yes, please.
Oh, but she's... Mr. Merrick, she's beautiful.
Oh, she had the face of an angel. I must... It's been a great disappointment.
No, Mr. Merrick, no, no. No son as loving as you could ever be a disappointment.
If only I could find her so she could see me. We're such lovely friends here now that perhaps she could love me as I am. I'm trying so hard to be good.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Please.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and if you have not seen The Elephant Man, I highly recommend that you watch that as soon as you can. It's amazing. It's heartbreaking. The true story of John Merrick is something that I knew about when I was little. And it horrified me, and it made me sad, because it wasn't scary. It was, well, I mean, as a little kid when seeing The Elephant Man, it was scary because I just wasn't used to this. But the story is amazing, and if you don't know the story of John Merrick, look it up. It's fucking fascinating. And just so I can, show everybody basically, and I'm not putting Billy Piper or Jenna Coleman in here, I'm just focusing on the doctors, but here's a little something for all of you longtime Doctor Who fans for a guy named Tom Baker. Here we go.
I'm the doctor.
No, Doctor, I'm the doctor, and I say that you're not fit.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
Look here, Doctor, you're not fit.
Not fit, not fit. Of course I'm fit. All systems go.
Say. Look.
Heart speed?
All right, so that's my own fan service out of the way. So let's jump into this episode. So apparently Clara gets a call that from the doctor. And she's teaching. Okay, so I'm on board. I know where she's at. She's a teacher. I did like that the sign says I am foreman outside. But anyway, she rides motorcycles? Okay. There's just like so much that I don't know. That's the first part of this really had me just going, oh my God, what is happening? But it appears that she's not seen the doctor in a while. The TARDIS was missing. I am so lost. Like, everything that's happening in this is just like, okay, I get that she's his companion. And they haven't seen each other for a while. She rides motorcycles. There's a whole bunch of gaps though, but it's a very dramatic entrance. She drives in the motorcycle into the TARDIS. And then the government knows about the doctor. I mean, I'm saying it like I'm like, okay, orders. He takes orders? Like, since when does it? Okay. I accept it, but it's just weird for me. So he's getting orders from the Queen, but not the Queen from now, the Queen from way back when, and he willingly works with the government. This is his job. Okay. All right. I'm not, okay, anybody who watches this, I'm not accepting this. I am accepting it, but it's just very jarring. And I've only watched, I'm only on the 9th episode of season 8, and this just doesn't track with me with Capaldi's personality. Anyway, we get to see the painting of the fall of Gallifrey, where it's the Time War with the Time Lords and the Daleks. And they bring up the other me, the one they don't talk about, the one from the past, the one before them. And they show the last day of the Time War between the Doctor, and the Time Lords and the Daleks. And there's some awesome visuals here. It's really, really cool. But see, I thought this was in the past. But it turns out that John Hurt's Doctor was like before Matt Smith and Tennant. And so that's kind of out of left field. But it's an interesting way to do it. Like, I guess he can be young, old, whatever. And that's just another thing that I got to learn. He blasts No More into the wall right before he blasts the TARDIS through that wall and takes off. The Daleks are like, no more, explain. And I'm like, oh, I would like it explained too, to be quite honest. But they talk about the moment. It's missing. The Galaxy Eater. It's missing. So basically, they're looking for a weapon that the Doctor took that's supposed to end the war, I guess. We're introduced then to Billie Piper's back, but she's not Rose. She's just the interface of the moment, the Galaxy Eater. And so does that mean that Eccleston, like, okay, why did it choose her? If Hurt is before Eccleston's Doctor, was this just put in there because they wanted a recognizable face? I mean, I don't care. I have so many questions, more than I can even put in this video. But I like that he's like, I've lost the right to be the Doctor because he apparently, you kill them all, but you live as punishment. So he killed all the people on Gallifrey, kids, women, children, kids and children, like they're different. He takes them all out to stop the war against the Daleks. It kills them, kills everybody. And this is the thing that's been haunting the Doctors that I didn't know. Apparently it's been haunting Tennant and Smith and I guess Capaldi. But I have no, like, what do you want to call it? I have no, like, knowledge of any of this, really. And, okay, so he's married to Queen Elizabeth I. Okay. Again, I would have to know more about Tennant's world. But I do like this scene a lot. I think it's really funny because he thinks that she's this shapeshifter and it turns out to be the fucking horse, which is pretty hilarious. And that's a really fat rabbit to be out in the woods. Do rabbits get that fat in the woods? I would think that they would be like easy pickings for like foxes and wolves. That's what I concern myself with, is like the believability of a fat rabbit in the woods. But the Zygon takes the form of the Queen again, and he doesn't know, like, we don't know which one is which. And we get to the introduction of this thing called the Undergallery, that some things broke out, which it's the paintings that you can tell, like, I like that this is almost like a crime scene, like, situation where they would say, well, if the glass is like this because it blew out of the painting, that something is there. And it's now this is really cool because when they talk about like how were these things in the paintings, it plays into the end, and I really like that. But first we got 2 doctors, then 3 doctors, and they are the future doctors. I had a question mark, like, okay, they're the future doctors, he's from the past, and they've had like all these years to think about what he did. And I'm just going like, what's happening? Okay. I like that he makes fun of timey-wimey, sand shoes, and granddad. So they give each other crap, even though they're all basically the same person. But again, there's another cool way that they put that. And I just said, this would be way more awesome if I knew all the backstory. Because I can imagine that you guys that are huge Doctor Who fans, which I am starting to become, must have been, I don't know how else to put this delicately. You guys would have been, like, super excited about all this. I guess I can do it. They show up, though. They're all there. Why are we here? You know, because you came looking. Okay. At first I thought the dust, though, in that room where the scientists were, or the government people were. I thought it was going to be the statues of the statues that move when you're not looking. I don't even know what they're called. I just know they exist. But it's not. It's Zygons. More Zygons, more shapeshifters. And there's this thing called the Black Archive, which is where they keep all the really bad stuff that the Doctor would not like that the government would have. And that's where I'm like, all right, like, why is the government involved in this? I don't... But they have this whole... I do like the system that anybody that goes in there and have their memory wiped, it's basically standard, apparently. That's how they keep the secrets and stuff. But again, it's just... They take the... Of course the government takes this stuff that's super dangerous and thinks that they can handle it and protect it. They shouldn't have any of it. They shouldn't have any of this shit. And then they say the tower is TARDIS-proof. So the government has secret place hidden from the Doctor, right? Which is, to me, just not good. And Harkness, they bring up Harkness, right? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know you guys will. Just be nice about it. Harkness, isn't that the guy from Torchwood? That I've watched a few episodes of Torchwood. Okay, but I actually, before watching Doctor Who Season 8, I actually watched more Torchwood than I had the Doctor Who show. And that's with the guy, is Harkness the gentleman from Arrow as well? I don't know. But we find out that their boss, the head lady, Kate, I think is her name, she turns out to be Zygon too. And they all start taking over the whole... So the whole place has basically been taken over by Zygons, or is about to be. And we get to the three doctors all having this conversation in the tower. They asked to be taken there. They had their own ideas. And they're all looking at him like they have John Hurt's Doctor with dread. Like the thing that he does, hasn't even done yet. And even though he was contemplating it, but... Anyway, they have this great conversation, and I can't like do it justice, but they do the math that it was 2.47 billion kids. That's a big fucking planet. To have that many kids, how many people are on our planet and how many are kids? I'd guess that number is probably similar. Spoilers. When he says spoilers, I like that. That was pretty funny. And I just wrote, this is a great scene. This is a really, really great scene because you get to see all these guys be the same person but different versions, which is also what comes up when they say same software, different case. Really great way of putting it. That they all have the same screwdriver, right? It's all basically the same software. And it's like their faces. They're the same guy but different faces. So they've been doing the calculations with their screwdrivers since like they've had them. So all these hundreds of years, it's been running a program to figure out the problem. That's really cool. And we find out that those Zygons were in the art, and basically the art is like a moment in time, a frozen moment in time, suspended animation, if you will. And I also love the cup of soup reference. That's really like it's not the best reference, but it's really funny because it's like you just add water, but instead of adding water, you add time. And okay, so at this point, this is where I've become pretty impressed with this show and its writing. This is a really well-written episode. This is probably my favorite episode I've ever seen of the few that I have. This is amazing. Like, I love the way that they're talking about time travel, even though I do have a little bit of a problem with the end of it, just because how do you change things that already happened? But maybe they didn't happen, but they did, right? Oh, wait, no, they do fix it. See, I had a problem, and then I remember they fixed it. So, good on you writing. I did write down, because Tennant again tries to accuse Elizabeth of not being Elizabeth, and I was kind of thinking to myself, is he kind of a dim bulb? This Tennant just seems a little like more rash. Like he likes to. This is the second time he's accused somebody of being something that they're not. I don't know, but I like him. I'm actually looking forward to him more than I am Smith a little bit. But they're both intriguing. And also the girl, the Queen Elizabeth I, she is not to be underestimated. Because she's really like shrewd. And like she just like doesn't even, she brings it like they didn't even know that it wasn't me, it wasn't that, like it wasn't the replacement. They didn't even question it, and I think that's pretty brilliant. But the plan now is they get the real Kate out, right? And they're going to blow up London. They're going to blow it all up because it's to save everyone. You have to blow London up with the nuclear option, which honestly, I'm actually kind of happy to see a government character go, I'm sorry, but if it's all of us or just some of us, then some of us are going to die. Now, I know that they definitely find a different angle, but most of the time, the human characters don't make these kind of choices, and I was like pretty proud of them for writing it that way, even if it is maybe it's just fiction, so whatever. But just then I wrote, what the fuck just happened? What the fuck just happened? Because did they go into the Gallifrey painting to, since they can't land the TARDIS, did they go inside the painting and then jump out to, because they told the guy from the past to put the painting down there so that in the present they could come out of it? But we don't... I'm asking too many questions. But they have a plan, and I do like they put their feet up at the same time and they say that you're going to all stop this because they mind wipe everybody and nobody will know who's a human and who's a Zygon. So they have to, unless they both want to die, they have to cancel the detonation, which is really clever. Really, really clever. And they also bring up that how many, like when they're talking about the choice to blow up Gallifrey, that how many worlds has his regret saved? When Clara's talking to John Hurt about how this haunts him, but that in the end, making that sacrifice saved countless other worlds, and that regret is just something that has to happen. I also like the comment about old man, young eyes. Like, he looks old, but he hasn't made these hard decisions yet. And so his eyes aren't as old looking as Matt's or Tennant's. In his line, it is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame. Like, he's calling himself not a doctor, and that these guys, are. And he's just a guy who lit the fire that created all this other stuff. And I love that because it usually is somebody that's nobody that ends up changing a lot of the world events, if you think about it. So they decide that they're going to blow it up together. And I was kind of like, well, so how does that work? How is this? So if they were going to do that, like, wouldn't that, it would change like everything. Because they're just like, they're talking about how we were going to fix time, and I was like, well, you can't. Things that have happened, but they haven't happened. This is the moment. And I was not realizing that. Like, if this is how it always happened, they just didn't know it until they had to live it. They've had the memory of something, but they forget later. It's just a lot. Because I was going, okay, great, you guys know. Cool. Can I know too now? Because I'm going, what is going to happen? And so they decided they're going to put Gallifrey in the painting, right? Or in suspended animation. And that's brilliant, that the calculation has been running this whole time. And so they get all the doctors together to put Gallifrey in suspended animation. It'll look like it disappeared. The Daleks will shoot each other, and that's how the Daleks all get killed. And nobody's the wiser, but everybody will think Gallifrey is dead, and no one will remember that they're not, but that there's always hope because they'll be alive. And that they've been blaming themselves for blowing everything up when really they saved it. They just can't remember that they did. And that's amazing. And we did get to see Capaldi's eyes there, and which was really cool. And I like that at worst, we fail at doing the right thing. There's so many good lines in this episode. Moffat wrote this, I think, right? And John Hurt goes in to go do his thing, but this is the moment of regeneration for him. But we don't see who he regenerates into. And Clara goes back into the TARDIS, and Matt Smith is sitting there having a moment with the painting, and that's when we get to see Tom Baker as the curator. He's saying, I'd make a great curator, and the guy all of a sudden walks up. Now, is he the Doctor, or is he just Tom Baker playing a curator who just knows a whole lot of shit? And how is he there? If they always, does it all come back around to him as an old man? Because this is, I know I'm going to get, at least Belinda is probably going to give me like a notebook of comments on this episode, but I thought it was really cool. And they say that they're going home. They're just taking the long way around. And my PS4 is about to turn off. So anyway, that was the Day of the Doctor. It was a fucking amazing episode. It really makes me, she wants me to do another one for her next month. So I'll be going back. It's the a story of space and time, I think I'm doing next for her in September. And so we'll be back with regular Doctor Who Season 8 episodes. I think we're on episode 9 now. But anyway, I hope you liked this, Belinda. I hope this was worth the Patreon membership that you have with us. And this is what you can get, guys. If you come to my Patreon and pledge at the $5 amount, you can choose a movie or a single episode of television for me to review. No Twilight, no Fast and the Furious movies, unless you want to pay me like $100. If you pay me $100, no takebacks, I will review a Twilight or a Fast and the Furious movie. But anyway, so again, that's how you get, something that you reviewed. I had somebody today, I was doing a live stream for Batman Arkham Knight, and somebody wanted me to review Old Boy from 2003, the original. I'm like, well, that's great. I have a lot on my plate right now, but if you really want me to review it, you just got to become a $5 Patreon, and I will get right on it. But anyway, that's my speech about Patreon. Otherwise, if you liked this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications so you always know when my content is up on the channel. We've got a lot going on. Tomorrow night, I will be on Dee's Reviews at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, talking about the future of the final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and what we thought of this last season. And then on Saturday, I'm making a ton of content with Gino Reynolds from The Real Gino. And so I'm going to be pretty much doing a lot of paperwork, making sure that I got all my stuff ready for both of those projects that are going on. So I wanted to get this one in under the wire, so that way when I come back to making content for my channel specifically, that on my schedule, we'll be starting the Dark Phoenix reviews for X-Men the Animated Series. So anyway, this is Robert Smirking Gun Reviews saying have a great night. Thanks for recommending this, Belinda. Thanks for making me review this. I'm really happy I watched it. I might have been a little bit happier if I'd watched it in order, but still one of the best episodes I've ever seen, and probably will be for a while. So have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Bye.